ready. I'm ready.
All right. Oh, well, y'all heard it right there. He's ready. He's ready. Welcome. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Dr. Walls and Friends. I am so excited to be here this evening. Now, y'all know it's special because I don't usually come on the weekend. So it would have to take a super duper special person to pull
Oh,
me in on a Sunday night.
I need
And
a
so,
drink.
y'all,
No,
I'm
of water.
Look, you have your water, I have my tea.
Okay.
So we're all good. So now you can see the formality in his title, Sir Vincent Lyn.
Oh dear.
So I don't get a chance to say it with the accent. I don't have the English accent
Oh,
to
okay. Well, I can surely take care of that.
you can take care of that part. Okay. So, welcome to the show. Thank you
Thank
so much for taking time out of your life and your schedule. And when I go into some of what this man does, you will understand why I say thank you for taking time out of your life because he is living fully. So,
thank you.
thank you. You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome. So what's going on? How are you doing today? Where in the world, if you may share where you are, because he could be anywhere in the world.
That's true. I'm actually right here in America, but
Okay.
In New York City.
Okay.
So basically, living across the street from the United Nations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I am at the present. Just
Okay.
only got here a couple of days ago. Was in Charleston, South Carolina. Before that, then I was in Hollywood, Florida. Before that, and
Mm.
before that, I was in uh, London. Before that, I was in Lisbon. Before that, I was in Lebanon. Before that, I was in Syria. So yeah. Anyway, take your
So
pick, whatever
yes.
you want. Yeah.
So see, now they understand why I say you could be anywhere. But
This is
all right. So when we had a chance to speak the other day, and you told me you'd be stateside at least for the next
mm,
10 days,
correct.
and you were gracious enough to say, you know what, we can go ahead. Let's get this on the books and let's make it happen. And so we have been able to do that. So again, I thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here to talk with us.
Thank you.
And yes. So, I mean, first, let's give people just a little taste of who you are. For those that don't know who you are, what would you like to share about yourself with them?
How far do we want to go back?
I take it all the way back.
Oh dear. Well, of course, my father always reminds me of of my upbringing. I have a Chinese father. I have a British mother.
Mhm.
They both met in England, and then my father was drafted into the British Royal Air Force at that time, and then he was going to be sent to either one of three places: Hong Kong, Singapore, and Yemen in the Middle East.
Mm.
At that time, all those three countries were protectorates or colonies of the United of then called the Great Britain, but of course now
Mhm.
it's the United Kingdom.
Mhm.
Um, would have made sense for him, being Chinese, to be sent to Hong Kong or Singapore, but they sent him to Yemen. Um,
Mm.
and at that time, southern Yemen. I was born in the city of Aden or Aden,
Okay.
was also a protectorate then of Great Britain. So that's
Mhm.
where I was born,
Okay.
and from that point on, I've been traveling back to the Middle East a
Mhm.
lot. Yeah,
Mhm.
and of course because of what's been going on in the Middle East
Yeah.
for a long, long time.
Yes.
Obviously, it's certainly been making the news on a daily basis in the past year.
Mhm.
So, um, but that's also because of the foundation that I started some 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's taken me, all over the globe
Mhm.
because my foundation, which is obviously my main focus of passion, of compassion, of empathy, and of work.
Mhm.
Main initiative is to rescue, recover children that are caught in conflict countries. So, name of the
Yes.
foundation is We Can Save Children.
Yeah, I was gonna have you share
Mm.
that with them. And for those on the YouTube side of life at Ask Dr. Walls 525, in the write up there is a direct link to his foundation. Please be sure to click on it. I told you all last week when I was interviewing someone for my author's vodcast. I said, please go and read his bio because it reads like a book. And it takes you on an incredible journey through his acting, his music, his or just artistry, your life as an artist, the breadth of your life, it is incredible. And as one whose motto is to live their greatest life, that's what
Mm.
when I read your bio, I said, well, he is making sure every cell, every genetic code within him is being unlocked and on full display in
Mm.
this world.
Very
So
nice. Well
yeah.
said.
No holds back. So now, and you just released a music video the other day, which is getting tremendous views.
It is. It's called War Must End, and
Hmm.
certainly the title resonates, and the video has resonated with people all over the world in a very kind of exponential growth, as it was just released in the past, this past week.
Yeah, I always say
So
I don't even know if we made 96 hours yet.
no,
I mean,
probably not, and it's
yeah.
already yeah, and 200,000 views and
Hmm.
500,000 on Spotify, and
Hmm.
yeah, I mean it's the growth is quite unbelievable. So
Yeah, and we're going to play it tonight and talk about it and give people a chance to watch it and experience it because it is a powerful song. The sentiment obviously is tremendous. We need it until we don't need it anymore.
that would be nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
would be nice.
So let's talk about we could talk about so many things. As I was reading his bio, I go, do I have him on the show? Do I have him on the show? Which one do I put him on? And I was talking to Edmund and he was like, just put him on Dr. Walls and Friends because that will just cover everything. And I said,
Okay.
okay, that's a smart move. So let's talk about the foundation. I have a love for children. I'm a former
Mm.
early childhood and elementary ed teacher and middle school teacher. I have a specialty in working with children and adolescents when it comes to therapy. So, children, I just love them.
Mm.
And so, when I saw the name of your organization, I said, I got to get to understand where did this come from? And as I was reading everything, the question that just kept going through my mind was why, but not in a judgmental,
No, of
like, why
course.
are you doing this? It was just why? Where did this come from?
Mm.
When was the spark that led you to this and now the work that you do?
It's good. January 2015, um, I had been asked to do close protection for a very uh, one of the wealthiest families from Sweden who were building infrastructure in Central Africa, from Ghana to Kenya to Tanzania. And so
Mm,
when I say building infrastructure, it could be anything from schools to shelters to clean water to hydroponics
mhm,
to shelters for children who'd been trafficked. And so
mhm,
taking on this job as doing close protection for this group, I witnessed firsthand for the first time in my life children who'd have been rescued from child slavery,
mhm,
specifically in Ghana,
mhm,
in West Africa. Um, and there were 15 or so children, mostly boys, ranging in ages from 5 through 15 years of age. And what caught me was not necessarily these children sitting scantily clad, no shoes on their feet, basically sitting there, nearly naked.
mhm,
But what
mhm,
it was the look they had in their eyes. A look that I have seen since that point quite a number of times in other countries that are in conflict.
Mhm.
And it was, you could see this, it was like a 1,000-yard stare. They emotionless.
Mhm.
It was like shark's eyes. There was just no emotion. You could see the trepidation on
Mhm.
their faces, expressionless.
Mhm.
And that look has basically stayed with me for the past decade. Um, and I got kind of, I had to look away for a moment because I got very emotional, like anybody would, and I got
Mhm.
teary eyed. But I had to kind of put myself back in the job I was doing, which is
Mhm.
to protect these.
Security. Mhm.
Exactly. So from that point, my life took a complete 360-degree turn from being
Mhm.
this, you know, actor doing action films with Jackie Chan in Hong Kong, and my musical, you know, career and so forth. And it did a complete 180, and I wanted to
Mhm.
get involved somehow in this work. I didn't
Mhm.
really know how and how it was going to transform my life, but
Mhm.
but that's how it began. And then I started meeting people who were connected either with, let's say, human trafficking, um, organ harvesting, child
Mhm.
soldiers,
Mhm.
child orphans. I mean, there's a huge gambit, and so
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, child slavery, which is also a massive thing because it could be anything from using a child in agricultural child slavery to uh, sexual slavery to,
Mhm.
I mean, you name it. So through my travels and meeting people who were, I should say, running NGOs in their countries or
Mhm.
CBOs, which are community-based organizations.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was kind of in the beginning very trial and error,
Mhm.
and it also over some years I realized that it's such a massive, sadly, massive industry using
Yes.
children in this way.
Yes.
I I was kind of spreading myself too thin. So I had
Mhm.
to start to think, where can I do the most good? And
Mhm.
I kind of had to channel my energy into one kind of specific arena.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, as you were saying, a couple of things. One, thank you so much for talking about the different ways in which the children were violated and victimized.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times when people think of human trafficking, they only think of the sex trafficking
Yeah.
part. And there's so many more pieces to it. My husband Eben and I, we do a web series called Kadaga, which is about eliminating the human trafficking, and in part to raise awareness that there is more than just
Hmm.
that part. The sexual violations are horrific, and so are these other pieces. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. I was talking to your husband about that, and
Mhm.
you know, it's an area that is we kind of everybody knows about, um, but I think it's one of those areas that's taboo, at least to be spoken about, especially let's say in mainstream media where it's never discussed.
Mhm.
And I think if the fact that, you know, let's say on the average 50,000, and I say 50,000 children go missing in the United States every year.
Mm.
If we look at that number and we started talking about it on mainstream media, CNN, whomever, oh my goodness, the country would be up in arms backwards and
Yes.
forwards. Yeah. And
Yes.
families would have guard dogs and private
Yes.
security outside their house if we started discussing those kind of numbers. Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
so
It's
and
so
it's,
true.
and as much as it, we could say, well, most of them are runaways. Yeah, there are a lot, but
Mhm.
it's not just runaways, you
That's
know.
right.
Yeah.
And even if they are, it still doesn't make it right. It still
Of
don't
course
make it
not.
okay,
It doesn't
right?
make it a right. Of course not. It's like, where are they? Where are these 50,000? Where are they disappearing to? They're not
That's
just
right.
disappearing into thin air. They are
That's right.
someplace. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And who's looking for them and
There you
working
go.
with them, right? And with their families
Of
who
course.
are also searching and I personally, it is a topic that is closer to home than what I care for it to be. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember watching the news and seeing clients that I had worked with, and now this was their reality.
Mm-hmm.
And as a clinician, having to hold that confidentiality, but
Right.
watching and the tears. I mean, there were times where I would just be bawling in front of the television because I knew what had happened,
Mm.
and I knew the backstory prior to, and it was just like the helplessness of the loved ones and the caretakers while they're going through this traumatic event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tough.
it's heavy. So here now you're hired for security for something else, and this captures your attention,
Correct.
and you are your soul, is that fair to say, is
Mm-hmm.
moved to say, where in this ocean do I start to work with a piece of water?
Correct. Yeah. And I had started the foundation, and because it captured my soul, and
Hmm.
it happened in Central Africa, I um, came across a number of people who were working in community organizations in Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, that's where it began for me. I was working with
Mm-hmm.
about a few thousand child orphans in Uganda in three separate orphanages. Most of the orphans were either from Uganda, Rwanda. So it was another generation left over from the genocide that happened in Rwanda.
Hmm. Hmm.
And also the current, um, I could genocide that's happening in South Sudan.
Hmm.
So this now we're talking back in 2015, 16, 17. And of course, the displacement of, I think it's now at, and it's one of the stats on the new video, the music video.
Yes.
There's 12 million have been displaced in Sudan. Um,
Wow.
this is recent, and this is not from back in 2016.
Hmm.
Um, so I was working in those, you know, predominantly in Uganda, working with the child orphans there. And that
Hmm.
took me into South Sudan. So there was a very, very close to death experience I had there on day after Christmas of 2017.
Hmm.
Um, and then the work took me to the Middle East. And it took me into Syria, took me into Lebanon, Iran, Iraq, um, and of course, Palestine. Um, and I started working a lot with the Palestinian refugees. And of course, at that
Mm.
time, we're talking the Syrian conflict had been going on since 2011 and somewhat still going on.
Mhm.
So a lot of the Syrian refugees, of some nearly one third of their population, had tried to get out of the country and left. Many ended up in Europe. I know when Angela Merkel, president of Germany at that time, she let in 1 million into Germany, and
Mhm.
they were scattered all over the place. And of course, many of them ended up in the refugee camps in Jordan, in Turkey, in Lebanon, and other places.
Mhm.
And then, of course, because of the Iraq War, there were millions of Iraqis that became refugees, as well as Afghanistan as well. So I've been working kind of closely in concert with NGOs on the ground,
Mhm.
um, and the Palestinian refugee camps that are scattered all over, primarily most of them, 12 of them are in Lebanon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking millions of people here. So yeah.
And I'm sitting up here, and I know some of the audience members are listening and going like, "Oh my goodness!" Like you hear about these things obviously on the news from time to time. I can't say obviously. You hear
Of course.
about these things on the news sometimes. Occasionally, it'll come up depending on which news channels you're watching. But now to listen to someone who was up close and personal in these spaces. Now, it takes on a different level of empathy, I think,
Hmm.
and a different level of compassion, as we were talking about the other day, because some people will look at this and have an emotional response to it, right? They'll have a sympathetic response
Yeah.
to it. Other people will look at it and have an empathetic response to it. They'll feel connected to those with whom are experiencing this and imagine what
Hmm.
they're going through. And then you have those such as yourself that are then moved to action
Mm.
to into a space of compassion.
Mm.
And with that, I just want to trace back just a little bit to your history. You are a martial artist,
Correct.
correct? So
As far as I know, according to many millions of people, I am. Yes.
and look, I don't want you to spit the water out when I say this. And you don't just play one on TV. Like you really are a
No.
martial artist,
No.
right?
Yeah. It's not just for film. No. No. Yeah.
And you have done some film with like Jackie Chan and some other
Done quite a
names.
lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. All right. Now, how has that martial arts training, and you can give us a little history of your martial arts training so people are familiar, but how has that prepared you for what you're doing now?
It's a good question. I'll answer it in a twofold way,
Okay.
and I'll just kind of back up a little. The
Hmm.
the martial arts I get from my father's side of the family, it's actually been in my Chinese family since we can date it back to the year 1368, which was the beginning of the Ming Dynasty in China.
Hmm.
So it goes back a long, long way. Um,
Wow.
so I've been practicing, studying, teaching seminars all over the world from, well, my personally been studying over 50 years, but I've taught all over.
Hmm.
Um, that took me to doing film.
Hmm.
But on my mother's side, um, that's where I got my musical ability. She was my first piano teacher. Her and her sister, they were called the Melody Sisters, and they had their own radio show, children's radio hour for the BBC.
Oh,
So between them, they were like child prodigies, and they played like 9 instruments like proficiently.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I kind of got both. My life parallels both with both my parents.
Okay.
And so it's interesting you ask me that question, because when I come back from a country in conflict, whether it's been Ukraine or Sudan or the Middle East,
Hmm.
um, there's things that I have witnessed that are pretty horrific, to say the
Hmm.
least. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Only things that you might see on a documentary, or you know, or photographs or something. But
Hmm.
seeing it like firsthand, the smell, and seeing the smell of burning bodies or
Hmm.
decapitations or things like that. So people will
Hmm.
ask me, well, geez, what do you do for you?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so there is, when I return to a semblance of normalcy,
Yes.
um, I kind of have to take a few weeks, because I just can't go back and like go around the grocery store and hear people, or in the bank, or hear people and listen to people complain, oh man, the line in the bank, and
Mhm.
you know how long it took me to get, a sack of rice over at Costco or something.
Yes.
I kind of, yeah, like that I cannot listen to. So I take a few weeks, and it's because of the martial arts,
Yeah.
because of music.
Yes.
Those two things are like co-joined in
Hmm.
my, they bed in my psyche, in my
Yes.
soul. And if I didn't have those two things, I think I would, well, I don't think I'd be able to do the work. I think I'd be a complete basket case.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It is. It's fun. I've worked in crisis, high intensity spaces,
mm,
and and then when I go into non or not as intense spaces, and someone may ask you, well, what's the most difficult thing you've dealt with? And
I'm asked that too. And yeah,
right.
yeah,
It's almost like spice level on Indian food. Which level do you really want? Do you
yeah.
want the do you want the spiciest, or would you like the mild, which still may be a little bit hot for you?
Well, it's interesting. You said I was recently in Portugal, and I was invited to speak to a couple of hundred students,
Mhm.
middle school, like 15, 16 years of
Mhm.
age. And I asked one young, very handsome boy to come up. He's standing next to me. And I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, I want to ask you a question, everybody. I said, if you could put a price on this his name was Francisco. If you could put a
Mhm.
price on Francisco, how much do you think he's worth?
Mm.
So, of course, they're young. They said, oh, 10 euro. I said, come on, 10 euro, really? I said, I think he's worth more than that. So one young girl said, 100 euro. Right.
Mhm.
I said, $100, 100 euro. That's it. That's all Francisco's worth.
Mhm.
So I said, I'm going to ask you this way. If I ask you to put a price on what you are worth,
Mm.
what is it? So
Mhm.
someone said, million. I said, only a million? I said, if I asked that question to your parents, what do you think they would say? So someone said, no price. I said,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
There's no price on Francisco or any of you.
Mhm.
So um, one of one of the first books I wrote on my humanitarian work is called Childhood Lost.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a war journalist. I wouldn't want to. I've seen enough harrowing, hellacious things um, that to take photos of these kind of things, nah. But I
Mhm.
remember being in Ghana and I was invited. I was asked to. We were asked to arrest a number of slave masters at a
Mm.
fishing village in Senya, Baraku,
Mhm.
um, which is a town of around 40,000 people.
Mhm.
And it just so happened this one day we had the national news was going to be there, police, security, doctors, staff, nurse, to try to arrest some of these slave masters. Because basically what was happening was an open day slave market.
Mm.
Um, and so this little boy, he was sitting on a step
Mhm.
and he was just looking out and all he had on was these rotten like shorts, scraggly holes in them, nothing else. And he
Mhm.
itching himself all over. He was itching
Mhm.
his armpits, his groin, and you could tell he had some kind of like probably tropical sub-Saharan disease.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he was just staring off into space. And I quickly shot a photo, and I used it for the cover of the book Childhood Lost.
Mhm.
He was sold that afternoon
Oh.
for $20. I don't know where that boy is today. And so I've told this story many times, and yeah, there it
Mhm.
is, Childhood Lost. That's the little boy. Yeah. And I don't know what his name is, but I know we were ready. Everything was in place.
Mhm.
Was a um, something that had been put in place, logistical, to facilitate the arrest of these slave masters, and it
Mhm.
something that had taken weeks to put in place.
Mhm.
At the 11th hour, we were told to stop because at that time there was an election of change of prime minister going on, and if we had been successful, which we would have been,
Yes.
then it would have shown a very distasteful what is happening in the government. This is like it's happening in front of us in clear view, and we'll be on the
Yeah.
national news at 6 p.m. So we
Yeah.
were shut down,
Yeah.
and we just basically had to sit. Otherwise, we would have been arrested. So we basically had to sit and watch children
Mm.
get sold at the local post
Wow.
and taken away. I mean, it was the
Wow.
most. I can't tell you how it felt. It's just unbelievable. And I remember as we walked up the stairs,
Mm-hmm.
the name of the organization I was then working with is called Challenging Heights.
Mm-hmm.
The founder, his name is James Kofi Annan, not to be confused with the former Secretary General of the United Nations.
Mm-hmm.
An absolutely incredible human being. He was a former slave himself. He escaped at the age of 6, 7 years old.
Mm.
He taught himself how to read and write. He put himself through university. He became this he got a master's degree in banking. He became really
Wow.
successful.
Wow.
And he gave it all up because he never forgot of his friends and children who died along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Mm-hmm.
started this organization, which is his main focus is to basically recover child slaves, but do psychosocial care that is needed, and the reintegration of children back with extended members of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I invited him. One of the concerts I gave at Carnegie Hall in New York City, I invited him to give a speech. And I tell you, there wasn't the concert was sold out, but there wasn't a dry eye in that audience when he got up there to speak.
Wow.
I mean, I was on stage and I was in tears, but I've heard him speak many times. He's spoken to Mother Teresa, to Parliament, to the UN, I mean, all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's one of my heroes for sure.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's take a look at this video. So why don't you set the video up for us? How did it come to pass? Who's a part of it? When did the idea even come to you? Because music is and has been, as you mentioned, through your mother, through your aunt, music is embedded within you, and you explored it. So let's give a little history there. You just mentioned Carnegie Hall like it was the corner store. So let's talk.
I know it's not Joe's Pub.
That's it's not karaoke, right?
No, definitely not karaoke. Yeah.
So let's give a little background, a context to how you even ended up being able to do concerts in Carnegie Hall, and then we'll get into your music video.
Okay. The last concert I did at Carnegie was December 22, so it's not really that long ago. It was a benefit for the children of Ukraine. And so the first concert at Carnegie was 2011.
Okay.
And it's one of those things, you know, you don't just call up Carnegie and say, hey, by the way, I want to do a concert there, you know, having never played there before or performed there before.
Right.
So,
because I walked by it about 5 or 6 times last year and nobody pulled me off the street. I'm just letting you know. Even I was humming a ditty, a Baby Shark, and everything, and nobody snatched me on the stage.
Oh,
So
no,
go
Baby
ahead.
Shark. No, that's so funny. It's so funny you mentioned Baby Shark, just because my son, who's a graphic designer, he works for the South Korean company that did Baby Shark.
Oh, wow.
So my son is a toy designer, does like all this kind of stuff. So
well, we got to talk to him off air. I have, a children's book series. I need toys designed. We got to talk.
He's based in Hong Kong. So
okay.
Yeah.
I'm passport ready. I will fly.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So the first concert was 2011. It kind of happened because a very dear friend of my mom's and me, who used to run Steinway Hall, which at that time was directly across the street from Carnegie. Steinway Hall, also a marquee been around for more than 100 years. You know, people like Paul McCartney,
Mhm.
Billy Joel, Horowitz, I mean, Heifetz, you name it, from the masters to even today, the modern day masters, if you want to call them. So they had all performed there. So when I went to see Regina, I said, Regina, you know, I, I feel like I want to do a concert. It's been a while. And she says, no, 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 no. No need to look. You're going to do it here at Steinway Hall. I said, what? I said, she said, no, no, no discussions. I said, okay. So I put 3 or 4 musicians and we did the concert. And then looking across the street, I thought, what would be the possibilities to perform? And so, you know, it's again, it's timing, being in the right place at the right time, and of course, network, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
which helps a lot. And so, having never performed there, I was so worried, is anyone going to show up?
Mhm. Mhm.
You know what I mean? But it sold out in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so people were calling me up, friends, who said, okay, I know you have tickets because we're calling the box office and there's no tickets. That can't be. It just went on sale like a fortnight ago. I said, I don't have any tickets. Oh, no, you must have tickets. I said, I don't have any tickets. Why do you think I have tickets? You got to call the box office. I don't have a mountain of tickets sitting in my, you know, closet. So, yeah, it sold out. It was amazing.
Wow.
It was an incredible. It was surreal.
I was going to say, what was that moment like for you when
It
you
was
found out it
surreal.
was sold out?
But
Yeah.
the odd thing is I remember being in the car going to the after party,
Okay.
and no sooner we were in the car. This is probably, I don't know, an hour and a half after the concert was over and everybody's
Mhm.
left. Everybody's heading to the after party.
Mhm.
I get a call from the executive director of Carnegie.
Mhm.
She says, wow, I can't believe it was sold out. It's unbelievable. She says, we have a date if you'd like to do next year's. And so I remember my mom looking at me, God rest her soul.
Mhm.
She turned around, she was sitting in the passenger seat. My father was driving. Looked around at me and she said, uh, well, like I should be answering executive director, like,
Yes.
why am I even like hesitating
Yes.
to
Yes.
think about giving her the answer? So I said, okay. I said, yes, we'll talk about date. Definitely, it's on.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there's been, I think, 5 or 6 losing track now. But yeah,
Mm.
Carnegie Hall alumni. What do you
Look
say?
at you. Look at you. You're like those people that go on Saturday Night Live and they're like, this is my seventh and eighth time
I
hosting.
know. Well, God bless. God bless them. Yeah.
So yeah, so from Carnegie Hall, now you have a music video and
Hmm.
that you just released. Like I
Yeah.
said, I
This
don't know
week.
if it's in 96 hour, like Wednesday, I think it might
Yes.
have came out.
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct. And today's
Yeah.
what? Sunday. So
Sunday. Yes.
yeah. So 4 days. Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting. It, in the beginning, it wasn't so much we're going to write this anthem,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of a completely different song that a Nigerian artist
Hmm.
named Samar was going to sing. So we listened to it. So okay, nice. We started making some changes, and we thought, how about we have a female singer sing along with this Nigerian artist, kind of
Mm-hmm.
make it world, you know,
Yeah. Yep.
cross culture.
Yes.
And then it was okay, who are we going to have sing it? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then making the decision of that, it's a basically brand new artist,
Mm-hmm.
young uh, female from Portugal,
Mm-hmm.
um, and through my colleagues, Grammy-winning producer Matthew Shell,
Mm-hmm.
and other studio musicians, it became now this international song.
Yeah.
And then we thought, okay, after kind of demoing Martha's vocal, and we needed to change the vocal. I said, look, why don't you come up with some different lyrics?
Mm.
And so we ended up choosing this title, Warmest End.
Okay.
She recorded her vocal in Lisbon, in Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
We recorded other musicians in the States.
Yes.
We started mastering it here and mastering it in Portugal. And then it so happened I was in London, and I was giving this is how these things co-join themselves
Yes.
in my life.
Uh-huh.
I was asked to give a martial arts seminar in London.
Mm-hmm.
This is not very long ago, and the husband and wife that run the school started talking about music. He said, "Oh, you know, my daughter plays trombone," and I get this a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember also studying trombone. It's not an easy instrument,
Mm-hmm.
as when I was very young. And I said, "Oh," and so he brings up this Instagram thing.
Yes.
And the moment I listened to it, and I said, "Okay, she is like amazing,
Mm-hmm.
like prodigy level, and
Yes.
young, like 20 years old."
Yes.
So okay, modern kind of pop, Afro beat,
Mm-hmm.
and having a trombone in it, that would be different. You never hear any music like that with a
You never
trombone.
hear anything with a trombone, right?
Trombone, you think like New Orleans, you think
Yes.
orchestral,
Yes.
big band, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What this is, and so all of these pieces of
Wow.
the puzzle just seem to like fit
Yes.
perfectly.
Yeah.
And so we had this song that we just came to fruition, that just, it seemed like lightning in a bottle in some way, and
Yeah.
especially because it's so important, the lyrics, that they
Mm-hmm.
resonate, you know. And I just
Mm-hmm.
got some feedback from actually the BBC uh,
Mm.
in London, where I'm actually going to do an interview regarding the song.
Okay.
And they couldn't say, wow, they applauded it like upside down, inside out. I mean, they said some
Wow.
incredible things. So yeah, it's reaching a lot. And then, of course, once we had the song uh, in place, the next thing was putting together a video.
Yes.
And so I also work with a design team, industrial design team, that are on the West Coast,
Mm-hmm.
that I work with on the last album that I did, called Elysian Eclipse, which
Mm-hmm.
uses all these different environments around the world. You know, one's out in space, one's out in the desert, one's in a
Mm-hmm.
Buddhist temple. So I decided these are they're the best. So many awards. I said, give it to them and let's see what they come up with. So we did. Had a videographer come up and shoot the video in the studio,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would say 90% of the footage that you see on the ground, meaning the conflict, war-torn footage, is footage that I have personally shot on the ground in specifically 4
Wow.
countries: in Ukraine, in Syria, in Lebanon, and in Iraq. So basically the footage is those 4 countries. And then, of course, the design team, obviously we added the current statistics that are going on around
Yes.
the world.
Yes.
And also there is, of course, some AI technology used in this
Mm-hmm.
video as well. But yeah, it's gaining amazing traction. So
That just takes the fact that it's your a lot of this is your footage takes it
yeah,
now to a whole nother level, because as I watched it and as I talked to you the other day and read the words and so forth, my mind is going through, where did this footage come from?
mm,
Did he, pull it off of the internet? Oh my goodness, is he looking at this through his lens, and actually capturing these moments? And so here's my answer.
yeah. So actually, when the video opens and I'm looking back at me holding
Yes.
the iPhone at myself, and I'm
Yes.
saying, "Hey, just take a walk with me," taking a walk through and that actual shot was in Aleppo in Syria.
Wow.
So, and
Yeah.
then of course it goes to all the other countries. Yeah,
Yeah. All
yeah.
right. Well, let's do this. I know the people are like, let me see. All right. So
Okay,
we're
go ahead.
going to answer
Put
that
it up.
request. We're going to put it up right now. And let me get it here. Let's see. And I am going to press play and put us on mute so that you all can hear it undisturbed. So let's go. War is a game where everybody loses and nobody wins.
So take a walk with me.
Broken homes and broken hopes. They're making decisions to turn lives upside down. But who knows? Quickly, ahead to zero. We're looking for a savior and a hero. This love comes from the ones below. They don't realize all the things they blow. Families and loved ones. It's sad to see what's happening. It's only more pain at the end of the day. When are they gonna realize when it's been a mistake? Wash away the hate, we should be kinder. It's never late to change, put out the fire. Open hearts, no bottom sides. It's never late to realize that we're understand. Can you listen? Are you there? Will you listen? Don't pretend, yeah. I know you hear me. What about the children? What about the little men? Don't pretend, yeah. Well, you should listen. What about the children? What about the little men? Oh, why must end? Oh, 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 oh. 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 Innocence lost, lives reborn. Kids looking shooting stars while watching the world fall apart. Filled with fear and broken dreams. Lost dad, lost home, lost hope. Every bullet, every bomb only proves how far we've gone wrong. And we let this madness carry on. Enough is enough. What will it take for you to realize that war is a game where everybody loses and nobody wins? Oh, why must end? Oh, 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 oh. 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 Enough is enough. What will it take for you to realize that war is a game where everybody loses and nobody wins? Nobody wins. Oh, take a moment. Yeah, exactly. We have to take a moment with that. Go ahead, whatever you'd like to say. I don't even have a question for you.
Okay. Um,
hmm Let me
well,
put this. Let me put this up for you.
yeah.
Marco P. Martin says so awesome.
Thank you, Marco.
Yeah.
Um, well, we're obviously with um, how much it's resonating with people,
Yeah.
and the feedback that we are getting, which is I would say 99% uh, positive. People always will kind of say, "Hey, how come you didn't do this or did that?" Or But I think it's globally it will resonate with everybody, and so we're going to obviously run with this and exhaust this for as long as possible, and then come, because both myself and Matthew, we're Grammy artists, Grammy voters. We're going to submit it next July for the Grammys for best song for social change. And we'll see what happens, But I think it's a good thing, because when it comes to Grammy Awards, especially something like this, one needs to do it way, way in advance, so you get this groundswell.
Yeah.
And everybody has seen it, and maybe at that point, millions will have seen it. And I won't be surprised it will be in those kind of numbers.
Yes.
So by that time, next July, it's not that far away when you think about it. 8 months away, we'll go like this. So it gives us time to promote, to get out on television, on radio, whomever will do that. And at this point, I have we all have kind of such a big following that we will do whatever is necessary to get the message out there and have more people see it.
Yeah, from a marketing standpoint, that my mind went there. What would be helpful? Would it be helpful for people to at least play it once a day for the next 8 months, right? In order to increase numbers and share it.
Of course. Like, I mean, Instagram is like over 200,000 in 4 days. YouTube always takes a little longer. It's a slower process, but nearly 5,000 in also 4 days. So if you look at those, TikTok in 2 days, it was over 10,000. So these kind of numbers at that kind of rate, over some months, then you're talking in the millions.
Exactly. And just for people regarding social media, sometimes the external number that you can view is not the same as the analytics number that the owner of the account can see. So like, for instance, you may only see 3,000 if we go to look at it, but when Vincent looks at it, he may see 6,000 or 7,000. And it's just because the systems are making sure that the views are authentic.
Yeah, exactly. For example, we put it up, one very short clip was, I don't know, it was not even 15 seconds before we actually released the video. And that hit 235,000.
Wow.
So this, the whole, well, on Instagram, you can't put up more than 90 seconds. So that's half the video. And so in 4 days, I just checked it, it's hit 170,000. That's only in 4 days. It's really moving. So
yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is. And I will say, I laughed when I did see the young lady with the trombone. It was such a brain jolt that it was like, what's she doing? Like, is she really playing that?
She's playing it, all right.
She's playing it, right?
Yeah, she's playing it.
Yes. Marco said perfectly blended.
No.
Yeah. And Leslie said, thank you for the truth in the trombone fit. Yeah. Marco said, the trombone. Yeah, it is. I could hear the world music from you have the trombone, you have the Afro beat, as you mentioned, you have the pop essence, the lead vocalist. Oh my goodness, is her voice beautiful.
There's an actual music genre called, forgive me if I pronounce it wrong, it's Amapiano. You know it, right?
Yeah.
And that groove or beat, if you want, is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is coming from South America. Yeah. Is it South Africa?
I think it's South Africa.
You're all right. I was going to South America. It's South Africa. Amapiano. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's a
Yeah.
certain groove in South Africa. So, you know, the song is definitely cross cultural. One could call it global, but
Yes. Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
I mean, you definitely hit on all of the sounds, the essence of it. You can feel it, and it's so appropriate for what you're
Mhm.
talking about because we're not talking about one area of the world where number one, where war must end,
No, it's
because
yeah.
right, it's within each of us, right? We have our own internal wars
Hmm.
that we are often battling, just even between
Of
the
course.
physical and the spiritual and so forth. And then we have our wars within our small proximity, but
Hmm.
then we have our global wars where we're talking country and all types of beliefs and things like that. And all of that to be able to move to a state of peace without resting in peace without being quote unquote dead, right?
Mm,
We can be in peace and still be alive.
exactly. For sure. Yeah.
Right. And I think we have to trust it, we have to know it, and we have to believe it in order to achieve it. I want to bring up wellness expert Edna Warren. She said, "Thank you for your service and
Oh,
sacrifices."
thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah, so much. So where do you go from here? You mentioned the Grammys, so we know that that's on the horizon.
Sure.
You are we back in Carnegie Hall this December?
It won't be, well, December is like next month. So no,
Yes,
no,
it is.
it won't. No.
In 2 weeks. Go
It,
ahead.
it's interesting you said that because I just spoke with Matthew, you know, Shell, the Grammy winning producer who's involved in this project,
Hmm.
uh, very much involved in this project. We just talked about that actually, about, you know, what we should do um, in terms of a concert moving forward.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I was
we would
wondering
we
that.
would we would want to tie it in once
Uh-huh.
this song is submitted and everything, the submissions
Yes.
go through and everything's accepted, blah blah blah. Then, like doing a concert a year from now, like
Okay.
this, because most of the concerts, I would say all the concerts I've done at Carnegie Hall have been when the season starts. Opening season starts for
Yes.
that year is usually October,
Mm-hmm.
and it will go through until spring, and then of course during the summer it kind of uh, shuts down
Yes.
somewhat. So yeah, we would do one, let's say, on the horizon for next fall.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's the
Okay.
case. So to tie, and also to tie it in with the song. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Okay.
because we're hoping optimistically that by a year from now the song will be in the tens of millions. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Now, I want people also to make sure that they visit your website as well. As I mentioned to you all, the link is there on the YouTube side of life in the write up. You can definitely see his website, which is let me get it here, we can save children. And
Dot
we,
org.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And let me see if I can get it up real quick so that they can see what the site is so that they recognize it. Here we go. Here.
There you go. That's it.
Mhm. Anything that you would like them to know about this site or anything you would like them to particularly pay attention to?
Well, I mean, it kind of can peruse through many things. You know, I think a lot of it is many of the initiatives that I've been involved with. Uh, I guess one can say successfully, but I hate to use that term because
Mhm.
saying one is successful about rescuing children in conflict is a great thing, but as an example, and this will kind of tell everybody and you'll understand what I'm saying. I was
Mhm.
involved not very long ago, a year. I connected and partnered with, and still partnered with one of the largest charity organizations in the United Kingdom
Mhm.
called Help Children Now.
Okay.
Um, Two very close friends founded it more than 25 years ago. One is, his name is Ciro Orsini. He's a very well-known restaurateur.
Mm-hmm.
He's had many famous restaurants all over the place. And the other is the famous Hollywood actor Armand Assant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, who
Mm-hmm.
did American Gangster with Denzel and
Mm-hmm.
about a
Mm-hmm.
hundred other films. Yeah, very
Mm-hmm.
famous. Played Gotti, and so,
Yes.
and they're both very close. I was speaking to both of them a couple of days ago, but we did this mission, I guess, to rescue a female cycling team from Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
There were 30 members of a female cycling team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we all remember August, at the end of August 2021, when President Biden decided we're pulling out of Afghanistan, it's over. 20 years of war, we've had enough.
Yes.
I think we all remember when the Air Force C-130s were taking off from Kabul, and Afghan citizens were trying to hold onto the wings of the plane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
remember seeing that.
Yes.
And of course, millions of Afghans trying to escape from their country into Pakistan. And of course, once again, the Taliban took over, as we knew they would.
Mm-hmm.
So all women in sports, not allowed to go to school, university, all those rules came back into play.
Yes.
So we had found that these 30 females had escaped from Afghanistan to Islamabad in Pakistan.
Hmm.
And the Taliban were obviously after them, and there's a lot of Taliban presence in Pakistan and Taliban intelligence. Two of the girls were caught and they were beheaded.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That news is, you can easily find that news on BBC or,
Mm-hmm.
on just Google it. And so we kind of had to move our butts if we were going to rescue these girls and get them to safety. So it took a year.
Mm-hmm.
It took a year of moving them from one safe house to another safe house to another.
Mm-hmm.
And finally we got them out, and they were all resettled in the United Kingdom.
Wow.
So I was asked to go to London and speak at Parliament along with three of the girls who spoke fluent English.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a big press conference and so forth with members of Parliament. And so I guess you could say that was a success, but
Yeah.
two got beheaded. That's not
Yeah.
that's not a success at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But, as horrific as that is,
Mm-hmm.
we got 30 out.
Yeah.
And they could have all, if we hadn't,
Yeah.
they would have all been taken and all been
Real talk.
executed. So, yeah.
Real talk. Real
Yeah.
talk. So any speaking engagements that you have coming up while you're here stateside that you're able to speak to?
Not right at this moment, because I have to have interviews with national television in Portugal and obviously BBC in London as well. So
Mhm.
that will be first. Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I thank you,
Thank you.
beyond thank you, for your time, for sharing all that you have shared, and for doing all that you do. Like those words it's such an understatement, when you get a chance to talk to a real James Bond and be able to say thank you.
Kathleen, Dr. E. Walls. That is not the first time I've heard that.
I know it isn't.
If I tell you how many times I've heard that, it might be more than the views that
the video is getting.
gotten.
That's it.
Yeah.
Was there any part of you as a child that said, James Bond, I think that's what I want to do when I get older?
Actually, I did. Growing up, of course, because I grew up in England, That
Yes.
was one of the things as a young boy I wanted as a Christmas present was the suitcase
Yeah.
from the movie From Russia with Love when Sean Connery played.
Yes.
And there
Yes.
was a suitcase with the gold coins in it,
Yeah.
and it had the knife that came out of the side. You know, I actually had that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, I wanted to be even that character. Gee, how old would I have been? I would have been like 7 years old or something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So here we have actor, author, musician, superhero. What do we have? Is there
What you need to
anything
do
else?
is you get all the women and they drive the Aston Martin and you just
Come
fly off
on,
into
come
the.
on.
Yeah, I know, right?
Exactly. And the one that goes in the water, that was
Oh,
right.
there
That
you
was the
go.
good one.
Yeah,
That was
that
the
no,
good
that
one.
was it.
And you need, well, you have the song now, but I was going to say you need a theme song, like a good James Bond
Okay.
Goldfinger theme
Oh,
song, right? Right.
ah, yes,
Or
definitely.
what was the one that Sheena Easton did? That For Your
For,
Eyes
for
Only.
your eyes only. Yeah. Oh man, you know them all too. Yeah.
Oh, I do. My father was a great James Bond fan. We watched them all the time.
Well,
But For
that's
Your
so.
Eyes Only, I thought was one of the most beautiful songs that.
It is a great song, but I
Ooh.
have to go. I have to go with Shirley Bassey
Oh,
because she did
okay.
Goldfinger.
Yeah, I know.
She did Diamonds Are Forever.
She did. She did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Those are good points. Good points.
What an amazing singer she was.
Yes.
But
Yes.
no, For Your Eyes Only was a wonderful song. Yeah.
Oh, so we need a theme song for you. We got to come.
Okay. I'll put Matthew to work on that
You
one.
put it. No, he can call me. I'll help him.
I will. I'll have him call you.
And then we'll get your son, and we'll get a little Baby Shark essence to it. We'll make it. We'll make
Okay.
it pop.
We got the whole team in place now.
Exactly. So, anything else that you would like to share this evening? Any requests that you have? Do you need people to follow you? Do you need donations? Do you need people to buy books? How can we be of help for you? I mean, you're literally helping the world. How can we help you?
Oh no, I just for me, it's not about. Okay, I think many people have gone to the website wecansavechildren.org. People can share it, see the work that's being done. I try to keep it as current as humanly possible.
Yes.
Obviously, I can't talk about the work that is presently in place.
Of course.
Of course, I cannot. But when it's done and we've done what we set out to do, then it's updated with whatever new initiatives are in place. But I think mostly it's just to let people know, just to spread awareness to others that it's interesting. Someone wrote and responded regarding the video, seeing the statistics that are flashing.
Yes.
And she said, goodness, I had no idea of those numbers.
Yep.
She said, I had no idea at all. So yeah, it's eye-opening. I've gotten, feedback saying what an incredible video. It's just so sad.
Yeah.
So and when you read those numbers and you see those images, it is, but that is the reality of what's going on in the world in more than 56 countries at the moment.
Yes.
So it really, for me, I'm asking people, spread the awareness, share the song. Yeah, if you can do that for me, I'm happy.
All right, y'all. Y'all got your marching papers. So spread the awareness, share the song, share this interview. If you haven't subscribed to Ask Dr. Walls 525 on YouTube, please do so. Please also be sure to follow him on his YouTube channel, Instagram. What are your social handles, Vincent?
Yeah, it's Facebook, it's Instagram. Facebook for us older, more attuned generation, and Instagram for the young generation. And then I handle the younger ones like Martha the Singer. You deal with the TikTok. I'm not going to get involved in that.
Exactly. Be sure to follow, hitting that subscribe button, hitting that those like buttons. They make a difference.
Mhm.
Sometimes we just end up watching it. The plays are helpful, but when you hit the subscribe, when
Yeah,
you hit the like, when you hit the notification bells, they make differences, and they only takes what, a second to do
not even,
so.
not
Yeah,
even.
not
Yeah.
even. Exactly. So Marco said, "Oh my, I'm old." Look, so it's
Hey, Marco, what's up?
you're in good company, Marco. You're in good company.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
It's like a fine wine. You know.
Yes, yes. And over on the Instagram side of life, Shannon Bogan said, "Thank you very much."
You're welcome.
So he
Thank
is a martial artist as well, high ranking. Shannon, I don't remember your actual numbers, but he's
you.
right there.
Thank you,
All right,
Shannon.
Marco sent a message, said, personally, Sifu Lin has been an inspiration. I've had the privilege of being with him on a few occasions, and it's always a blast on several occasions in the context of Kung Fu. All right. Oh, there it is. And there it is.
Yes.
So with that being
I'll
said,
pull out my
yes,
Walther PPK next.
you can say. All right. Well, I thank you. Of course, I invite you back to the show whenever you get a chance to. You are always welcome here on Dr. Walls and Friends. And
Thank you.
hopefully, one day we'll actually be able to meet each other personally.
There you go.
Who knows? Maybe I'll be coming up out the water in one of those James Bond cars and tell you to come on and hop in.
All right,
So,
good. All right, I'll be in there. I'll be in there. All right.
all right,
Thank
everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We look forward to seeing you again. Again, if you have not subscribed to Ask Dr. Walls 525 on YouTube, please do so. I have a lot of shows coming up before the end of the new year that I want to make sure you catch. And as always, be sure to replay this and go back and share it with other people as well. Because when you share this video, you're sharing all the wonderful work that he's doing. You're bringing more awareness to things that we need to be aware of. We need to, know the truth. And here's someone who's actually boots on the ground. I mean, the video itself, him taking the videos and the pictures so that you can see the truth instead of something that is fabricated. And again, Vincent, thank you for the work that you do. I know it's an understatement, but I know I mean it, and I know our listeners and viewers mean it as well. We really, really do thank you for what you do.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
All
Kathleen.
right. You're welcome. All right, everyone. Have a great evening. God bless. And as always, continue to live your greatest life. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye bye.